ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। श्वेताश्वतरोपनिषद अध्याय 3 मंत्र 19। अपाणिपादो जवनो गृहीता पश्यत्यचक्षुः सशृणोत्यकर्णः सवेत्ति वेद्यं न च तस्यास्ति वेत्ता तमाहुरग्र्यं पुरुषं महान्तम्। We have to see the second half. We have already seen the first half of this mantra. Savetti vedyam na cha tasyasti vetta. This line describes the Paramatma as the consciousness, as the Chaitanya. Savetti Vedyam. There is Vedya and Vetta. Two words used in this line. Vedya and Vetta. Vedya means the object of knowledge. Vedya means the object of knowledge. It is also called Drishya. Generally, in Vedanta, the object is called Drishya, the object of knowledge. There is a work known as Drigdrishya Viveka. Some of you might have studied that work. Drigdrishya Viveka starts with the shloka Rupam Drishyam Lochanandrak Tadrishyam Draktu Manasam Drishyadhivrittayas Sakshi Drigevanatu Drishyate. Yeah. There is an analysis in Drigdrishya Viveka. The work starts with an analysis. The author does not even spend time for prayer. Immediately, as soon as he starts with an analysis. Rupam Drishyam. The analysis starts with where we stand. In fact, this is the uniqueness of the teaching tradition of Vedanta. Vedanta starts with where we stand. What we generally understand as a drishya, as object of knowledge. The author starts with that. What is knowledge? All the rupas, all the external forms that we see, the table, chair, and so on. These are drishya. The table is drishya. Everyone understands this, and nobody has a dispute about it. So, where you have to begin, where everybody agrees. Yes, Rupam Drishyam. Everybody knows this. If Rupa is Drishya, if the external objects are Drishya, then who is the seer? Who sees them? The author says, Lochanam Drak. Our eyes are the seer. Drak. The author uses the word drak. Here there is another word, veta. So drak is equal to veta. Drishyam is equal to vedyam. The words are different. The idea is same. Our eyes are the seer. Eyes see the external form. Now, who sees the eyes? Is there anybody who even sees the eyes? The author says yes. Tadrishyam draktumanasam. Even the eyes are drishya. Even your eyes are objects of perception, objects of knowledge. Who sees them? Draktumanasam. Our mind is the seer. See, now the author has taken us to another level. The first level is everybody understands the first level. But the author says, don't stop there. My eyes are the seer. Don't stop there. Even your eyes are seen. Even the eyes are known by somebody else. Our mind. That is why when we go to the optician or optometrist, the optometrist asks us, how do you see? Are you able to read? Whether our eyes are functioning or not, what knows? Our mind knows. Sometimes the eyes are not functioning. The functioning or non-functioning of the eyes are known by our mind. The presence or absence of the eyes are known by our mind. Therefore, even the eyes are witnessed by our mind. When I say eye, I don't mean the physical eye only. It is the sense of perception. Chakshurindriya. Even the Chakshurindriya is witnessed by our mind. Therefore, the author says, the mind is the seer and eyes are the seen. Now, the author takes us even further. See, many analysis stops here. If you look into the Western philosophers, many of the Western philosophies have stopped here. They accept a body-mind duality. I am the mind and the body is outside. Body is different from the mind. But the Vedanta takes us even beyond the mind. Because even the mind is an object, is a Vedya, a Drishya. Because sometimes even the mind is not present. When you were sleeping, there was no mind. But you were there. You were witnessing the absence of mind in deep sleep. That is why you are able to say, I didn't know anything. After waking up from deep sleep, you say this, I didn't know anything. I just slept happily. Sukhamahamaswapsam na kinchidavedisham. You are able to say this because even the mind was not there, but you were witnessing the absence of the mind. And as you wake up, you become aware of the mind, and automatically you identify with the mind also. And in the waking, you see all the you witness all the changes in the mind. Our mind is constantly changing in the waking, and we keep witnessing the changes. Who witnesses the changes? See, the changing one itself cannot witness the changes. The witness has to be outside the changing entity. Therefore, the Atma, the Chaitanya, is the witness of the mind as well. This point has to be understood properly. We should be able to recognize ourselves as different from even the mind. It is a bit difficult. It is easier to recognize ourselves as different from the body. Relatively easy. It is also not easy, but relatively easy to discover ourselves as different from the body. But it is even more difficult to distinguish ourselves from the mind. Therefore, it requires a greater analysis, greater contemplation. Therefore, Drigdrishya Viveka says, Sakshi Drigevanatu Drishyate. The Sakshi, the Chaitanya, it is only Drik, only the seer, na Drishyate. It never becomes a Drishya. it never becomes an object of knowledge. The same thing is pointed out here. Savetti Vedyam, the Vedya, every object is known by the consciousness. Vetti, the consciousness is the knower, the Veta. Because anything that is known is ultimately known by the consciousness. We may say our eyes are seeing, but ultimately what sees? Not the eyes. Eyes are just an instrument. The eyes give the input to the mind. And then a thought happens in the mind corresponding to the object. What finally witnesses the thought? It is the consciousness. Therefore, anything that is known in the world is known by the consciousness. Everything that is known in the world is known by the Chaitanya, the consciousness. Now you ask a question, who knows the consciousness? The Upanishad says, Nacha tasyasti veta. Nobody knows the consciousness. Means consciousness can never become an object. There is no knower of the consciousness. Means the consciousness is not witnessed by another consciousness. And it need not be known by another consciousness also. Because Chaitanya is Swayam Jyotihi. It is self-effulgent. Since it is self-effulgent, it need not be illumined by another consciousness. Therefore, do not expect to know the Chaitanya as an object. Do not try to visualize the Chaitanya as an object. You cannot even visualize the Chaitanya as an object. Most often, people try to visualize the Chaitanya. Let me visualize the consciousness. It is absurd. Because if you visualize something, what is it? It is the object of your visualization. The moment you visualize something, it becomes an object. And if it is an object, it is not consciousness. And they may visualize Chaitanya like a light, like a physical light. Like some people put a bulb and they say you meditate on the bulb. This bulb is Atma, Paramatma. So bulb is not Paramatma. Bulb is a object. Bulb is not Chaitanya. Chaitanya is the one who witnesses even the bulb. Therefore, nacha tasyasti veta. The consciousness never becomes an object of consciousness. Tamahuragriyam purusham mahantam. Tam agriyam mahantam purusham ahuhu. The consciousness is agriyam. Agre bhavam agriyam. It existed even before Srishti. Agre. Agre means before Srishti. Sadeva somya idamagra asit. Chandogya Upanishad talks about the time before Srishti. What existed before Srishti? Sadeva somya idamagra asit. Everything was just Sat. Sat eva. Only Sat. Pure existence. Undifferentiated existence. So that was the cause. Everything came from the Sat. Therefore, Agriyam means Sat, the pure existence. The Vedanta describes the Atma as the one who existed before Srishti. Being present before Srishti, he is responsible for Srishti. Jagat Karana, the cause of the universe. Mahantam Purusham, he is the Purusha. Already we have seen the word Purusha. The Atma is called Purusha. Mahantam Purusham. He is the Purusha who is infinite, free from all limitations. Being the cause, being Jagat Karana, the Purusha is free from all limitations. Because he is the cause of all the limiting factors. What are the limiting factors? Generally, we talk of three limiting factors: Desha, Kala, and Vastu. Desha, space. Space is a limiting factor. Second one is time, Kala. And third one is Vastu, any object, any name and form. Now, Desha, Kala, Vastu, all the three things have emerged from Paramatma. Paramatma is the cause of Desha, Kala and Vastu. Therefore, the Desha, Kala, Vastu is dependent on Paramatma. That means all the limiting factors are dependent on Paramatma. Therefore, Paramatma transcends all the limiting factors. Therefore, Mahantam, he is free from all limitations. Mahantam Purusham Ahuhu. The Vedanta says, Ahuhu. The Vedantas describe Paramatma as the great Purusha, the infinite, all-pervasive Brahman. Shloka, mantra 20. Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan Atma Guhayam Nihitosya Jantoho Tamakratum Pashyati Vitashoko Dhatuh Prasadat Mahimanamisham. Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan. This is another popular expression, popular description of the Brahman. Popular in the sense we can find this in many places in the Shastra, in many Upanishads, many Vedavakyas. The same expression is found. Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan. Paramatma is Anoho Aniyan. Anu means atom, an invisible particle is called Anu, a particle. In this context, Anu refers to Sukshma, subtle. Paramatma is Anoho Aniyan, means he is subtler than even an Anu, even a small particle, subtler than the subtlest. Paramatma is Ati Sukshmaha, very Sukshma, very subtle. What is called subtle? If something is right in front of us and we are not able to perceive through our senses, then it is called subtle. For example, an atom is called subtle. Why? Because it is here. Even here so many atoms are there. All oxygen, hydrogen, all helium, all atoms are moving around here. Atoms and molecules. But we are not able to see. It is not possible to see the atoms. Despite them being present here. That is why they are called subtle. Even with microscope we cannot see the atom. Even the microscopes are not capable of seeing the atom. They can only see cells. Atoms cannot be seen. Yeah. So subtle. So Paramatma is subtle because Paramatma can never be perceived through our senses. But the atoms, though we cannot perceive the atoms, we can infer their presence. We can infer their presence because the scientists are able to figure out their functions. Yeah, atom is here, it is doing this work. That is how they infer the presence of the atom. Whether it is hydrogen atom or carbon atom, the scientists are able to infer their presence because they give some indications. Maybe in the chemistry lab, you put something to a test tube, a particular color appears. Those who have studied chemistry, they have done titration. While doing titration, at a particular moment, the color changes. It is an indication. That is how you infer, oh, this particular atom or molecule is present here. So the atoms give an indication. But as far as the Atma is concerned, even such indications are difficult. That is why even in science lab, you cannot prove the presence of Atma. That is why many people doubt, is Atma really there? Because Atma does not give even a gross indication. The atoms are subtle, but they give a gross indication. The change of color is gross. But in the case of Atma, there is not even a gross indication. Not even a tangible indication. At least as far as the worldly senses are concerned. That is why, subtler than the subtle, it is easier to figure out the presence of atoms, molecules, etc. But it is much more difficult to figure out the presence of Atma. To figure out the presence of Atma, there is only one way, Shastra Pramana. First of all, we should have Shraddha in the Shastra. Because the Atma is revealed by the Shastra. There is no other Pramana. There is no other means of knowledge to understand the presence of the Atma. That is why Anoraniyan and Mahato Mahiyan, it is greater than the greatest. What is the greatest in the world? Some people may say it is space, akasha. Some people may say it is kala, time, space. And some people might say akasha and kala are jada. It is Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is the greatest, because Hiranyagarbha is the greatest position that can be attained in the scheme of Srishti, in the setup of the universe. For example, in the democratic setup, what is the highest position that one can reach? At the maximum, one can become prime minister or president in the democratic setup, because that is the highest position. In the same manner, in the scheme of the universe, what is the highest position that you can get? You can get the position of Hiranyagarbha. So some people may say, yes, Hiranyagarbha is the greatest. Then the Upanishad says, Paramatma is greater than Hiranyagarbha also, because Hiranyagarbha is also a jiva. It may be a greater position, but even that position is a samsari position. Any position you attain is samsara. It has its own samsara associated. The other side looks green. The Paramatma transcends even the position of Hiranyagarbha. Therefore, Mahato Mahiyan. So he is greater than time and space, because he is the cause of both time and space. And he is greater than Hiranyagarbha, because he is the cause of even Hiranyagarbha. So, Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan. See, he is most subtle. In the meantime, he is the greatest. Atma guhayam nihitosya jantoho. Atma asya jantoho guhayam nihitaha. This Atma is present in our guha. Jantoha guhayam. In the guha. Guha is another word that is frequently used in Vedanta. So, guha is derived from the root guhu samvarani. Guhu dhatu. Guhu has the meaning of to cover, to hide. So, guha is a place where something is hidden. In general usage, the word guha means cave. Earlier, the sadhus used to live in caves. Nowadays, it is difficult to find such caves. Even caves are occupied. So, in this context, the Atma is hiding in a guha. What is that guha? There are two ways of explaining the word guha. One meaning is given by Shankaracharya himself. Shankaracharya says, guha means our mind. Our mind is the guha, because that is where the Atma is hiding. Atma is present in our mind, not as an object of the mind. See, generally, when we say something is in our mind, what do we mean? It is present as an object of our mind. For example, what I have to cook in the afternoon is in my mind. Not in my mind, it's in your minds. What you will cook for the afternoon, for the lunch, it is in your mind. What do you mean? It is present as an object in your mind. Sambar. There is the thought of sambar in your mind. So, any other thing can be present in our mind as the object, as an object of our thoughts. But when we say Atma is in our mind, it does not mean Atma is there as a thought in our mind. Atma is the witness of every thought. As the witness of every thought, the Atma is there in our mind. As the illuminer of every thought, the Atma is there in our mind. So, there is thought, object of thought, and illuminer of the thought. What all things are there in our mind? Thought, object of thought, and illuminer of the thought, Sakshi of the thought. There are three things in the mind. Among these three things, generally we are preoccupied with the objects of thought. What is the object of thought? Sambar, chutney, all these things are there. Object of thought. What will I cook? What will I eat? So, we are busy with the objects of thought. That is why we don't pay attention to the Sakshi of the thought. Even though the Sakshi is constantly there in the mind, we don't pay attention to it. Why we don't pay attention? Because the Sakshi is Sukshma, subtle, Anoraniya, whereas the objects are gross. sthula. Our mind generally flows towards the sthula and misses the sukshma. That is why, though the sakshi is very much there, we don't pay attention to it. That is how it is hiding. It is not hiding anywhere in Himalaya. It is hiding here only. Within us, within our own body, within our own mind, it is hiding. So that is one meaning of the word guha. Guha means mind. Buddhau guhayam, Shankaracharya says. Whereas Vidyaranya in Panchadashi gives another interpretation of the word guha. Vidyaranya says guha means the 5 koshas, Pancha kosha, Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha and Anandamaya kosha. These 5 koshas are called guha. It is also fine, because Atma is there in these 5 koshas as the sakshi of the 5 koshas, as the illuminer of the 5 koshas. Therefore, either Buddhi Guha or Panchakosha Guha. Atma is hiding here as the very Sakshi, as the very witness of everything that is happening in this body, mind and senses. Therefore, Atma asya jantoh guhayam nihitaha. The Atma is very much present in the guha, in our own body, mind, sense. It is hiding. Therefore, in order to find the Atma, we have to shift our attention from the gross to the subtle, from the external to the internal, and to shift our attention from the external to the internal, from the gross to the subtle. We need the grace of Ishvara. This is told in the second half. Tamakratum pashyati vita shoko dhatuh prasadan mahimanamisham. Tam mahimanam isham. The great Ishvara. The Ishvara who is Mahimanam means Mahantam. The great Ishvara who is Akratum. Kratu means Sankalpa. All thoughts, all worries is a Sankalpa, is a Kratu. So one who has the Kratu is a Samsari. When we have worries, there is Samsara. Atma is Akratuhu, means he is free from Samsara. Asamsari. the Ishvara who is free from samsara, dhatuh prasadat pashyati, a mumukshu, a seeker of moksha, realizes the Paramatma, the Ishvara, with the grace of the Dhata, with the grace of the Paramatma. Dhatuh prasadat. That means, in order to get the Atma Jnana, one should have Ishvara prasada, Ishvaranugraha. Ishvaranugraha pumsam advaita vasana. One cannot get Atma Jnana without Ishvaranugraha. That is why we should keep praying. In fact, any progress in spiritual pursuit is not possible without Ishvaranugraha. No progress is possible without Ishvaranugraha. If somebody thinks, I can accomplish the moksha by myself, then he will be in a problem. And overconfidence in our own abilities, overestimation, can be disastrous. Because if you look into the statistics, let us take a driver driving. Who makes mistakes? Who gets into accidents? An overconfident driver is more prone to make mistakes because he thinks, I am a good driver, I will not make a mistake. That is when he starts driving very fast, starts rash driving, and then he hits somebody. And in the case of driving, most often, if you make one mistake, you cannot make second. So, even in driving, an overconfident person makes mistakes. And the same thing happens in the spiritual pursuit also. Sometimes we become overconfident. Yes, I am good. I will not have any unhealthy habits. I will not make any mistakes. When we think so, we become complacent. We become careless. And that is when the pramada starts happening. The overconfidence leads to pramada. Pramada means mistakes on account of carelessness. And in Sanat Sujatiyam, it is said, pramado vai mrityuhu. Pramada is death. Means pramada is as good as death. One who makes mistakes on account of overestimation, overconfidence, he gets into a spiritual degradation, spiritual downfall. That is why a mumukshu should be constantly watchful, and he should be constantly prayerful. A mumukshu should be constantly watchful, meaning he should constantly introspect. What am I doing? Am I making any mistake? He should keep introspecting. Introspection and self-correction are very important. In the meantime, one should constantly pray, may Ishvara look after me, may Ishvara bless me with the proper thought, with the proper attitudes. Therefore, dhatuh prasadat, with the grace of Ishvara, a mumukshu successfully accomplishes the self-realization. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.